So today we're going to talk about what is diastasis recti and how I snapped back postpartum without getting a mommy makeover. Hey there, my name is Lesline and I am your favorite nurse yogi. I am a registered nurse with 12 years of healthcare experience, and I'm also a certified yoga instructor with 5 years of teaching experience. I really wanted to talk about this video, in long form. I did do short form, and maybe you came over from the short into this video. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. So make sure you are subscribed to me and that you like this video. I'm going to be giving you chock full information. I have 2 children. So I have my son, who is going to be 8, and my daughter is 5. She's going to be 6. I say it with a pause and a questionable look on my face because when my son was 9 months, I found out that I was pregnant with our daughter. So they are Irish twins, as some may call them, and technically they're about 18 months apart. And people, when they were babies, thought they were twins. Nope. It was just, anyways. So my body was very weak postpartum. It was really weak, and I am now stronger than ever. As I reflect on myself a couple years ago, and I remember vividly in my room doing that first workout after the doctor cleared me. If you don't know, because it might be your first time clicking on my pretty face, thank you. But I lost my train of thought. But what I'm getting at is I didn't realize how weak I was going to become postpartum. And technically, I was pregnant 3 times. The first time I had a miscarriage. I know they say we because it did affect my husband as well, but physically it affected me. I had a miscarriage. It was a chemical pregnancy, I believe is how that you call it, but 6 weeks, peed it out, was blood in the toilet. I am very detailed when it comes to health stuff because I don't want to sugarcoat things, because I truly believe when you say things like verbatim how it happened to you, you give yourself more power and empower others to have autonomy over their body. So that was that was the miscarriage. And then maybe because I'm very I'm going to get this done kind of thing. So I went through my own healing journey after that miscarriage, and then we had our son. I forget the time, maybe within a year I got pregnant with my son. I don't remember exact date, but he was born. Well, anyways. But so I say as that I was technically pregnant for 2 years and then some. And that time I was really focused, and I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. Once you find out that you're pregnant, you're like, okay, I got to eat healthy. I have to do prenatal yoga. I have resources for you there too. If you need prenatal and postpartum yoga, I got you. But I was discussing this with my husband actually, because I'm really passionate about postpartum health. And I feel like the gap with postpartum health is that, I think I'm saying that right, is that we women, we don't bother take care of ourselves before kids. It's after kids, after the damage, this is in quotes, after the damage has been done to your body, and mostly while you're pregnant, you're like, I gotta make sure the kid is good, the baby is good, that I'm eating what I'm supposed to for the baby. And we forget about ourselves. So of course, when postpartum happens, you continue to forget about yourself, and it gets harder and harder and harder. Next thing you know, the kid's 18 and you still don't know how to take care of yourself. So I truly believe that postpartum health happens prenatally, before you even you're discussing if that be you're choosing to have a baby on your own or you're having a baby with a partner. You need to, once you make that decision, I am going to birth a child, you're gonna birth a child. You need to make sure that you are taking care of your body because when you take care, this is the part people don't talk enough about, but when you take care of your body you are setting yourself up for that snapback. We all want the snapback. We want the snatched waist, right? We want these things, and it's harder to get those things, the snatched waist and the snap back, if you didn't take care of yourself before. I know. Ouch. Damn. But that's the truth, and that's where I feel like the disconnect is happening. And I know people personally that have had mommy makeovers. Don't get me wrong. And I will say this, like, if you have talking with the doctor and you've been like, listen, I've done all the core, the Pilates, the blah, I changed my diet, I did all these things, and it's still, because some women, they'll do all of the things and they'll still have the pouch, right? And I'm purposely wearing my outfit, my workout outfit like this today, just so you can actually see my body. But what happens is the abdominal muscles, they don't come back, right? And then it causes a pouch. And the pouch isn't a problem just because of vanity. I want to say this really clear. I'm concerned about women not snapping back for their health. So what happens if you do not take care of your diastasis recti is that you're putting yourself at risk for the following three things: incontinence, umbilical hernia, and lower back pain. I have to say them before I forget. I don't you don't this is your first time probably seeing, but I normally have a script and I'm speaking just off the cuff, but I'm very educated in this. But so let's get into each one. The reason why I'm concerned as a nurse for women that just are like, well, it is what it is. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm like, some days I am not today. If I'm even going to be honest, I know you'll be like, well, girl, I wish I had your body. Like, I'm a little bloaty. Friday night, I ate trash. Like, I ate trash, too much of it. And today is Sunday and my body is still like, girl, why'd you eat all that food like that? So I really want to, I want to be like this today. I want to be like this, but I'm not. And I'm actually doing an exercise as I'm talking with you guys to keep my core engaged, right? And why was I saying, girl, you be going every which way? But what I'm getting at, let's get into the incontinence, right? So incontinence is when you do not have control over your urinary system, over your peeing. So you may hear women say, every time I sneeze, or sneeze, cough, they pee themselves. Shout out to Miss Pat. She's a comedian and she makes a joke. She's always like, and I'm not like, please, this is all like with love, and I'm not shaming, please, because a lot of women go through this, but I want you, this is what I'm getting at, is I want women, and so Miss Pat says in her joke, she always wears a panty liner every single day, and that it's funny, but as a nurse, I want to kind of peel that apart at what actually is going on with people like Miss Pat and a lot of women is they have a weak pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is literally like what holds your reproductive system, if you will. It holds your reproductive system. And what happens when we give birth, if that be C-section like I did, I had a C-section with both of my kids. Literally my pregnancy, when my birth story, there we go, was the same. My water broke. I had to force my water to break. I forgot what I had to drink. My midwife recommended this nasty thing that I mixed with my favorite ice cream, cookies and cream. I drank that like a milkshake, right? And that's when my son, he was like, oh, okay, that's when my water broke. And so I was like 42 weeks. They didn't want me to go past 42 weeks. And after I drank that, once my water broke, it was green. So my son had pooped in the sack. And what is the concern is not only was he sitting in the poop, right? Is then now that my water's broke, I'm putting both of us at risk for infection. So that's why I had to get a C-section. My daughter literally did the same. Literally the same thing. My water broke. I didn't drink the nasty drink with my daughter, but once we hit 42 weeks, they're like, okay, like, we gotta, and I had my doulas and all of that. So and that will be a separate story time. I was very holistic with my pregnancies. But I unfortunately, had to have a C-section with both. And so with the weak pelvic floor, what ends up happening is incontinence. You're at risk for incontinence. So a lot of women there, and I'm like screaming this from the mountaintops. A lot of women, they don't get the physical therapy that they need postpartum. I will never forget this. I told you all I had a holistic birthing experiences. Even though I ended up in the hospital prenatally, I was very holistic with my care with my children while they were in the womb. And I never forget at my 6-week checkup, it was with my son, if I remember correctly, and I had to do like a sit up. So they're like, just do a little sit. I'm like, girl, you want me to just sit up when my belly, my whole insides feel like jelly? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like after you give birth, you just feel like a blob. Like that's the best way I can explain it. So I did like not even a baby. I did an embryo sit up. Okay, I was like, eh. And she's like, okay, you have about less than a finger's breadth of gappage. And so that is what we call diastasis recti. So I don't know if I'm repeating myself, just bear with me, but diastasis recti is when you are pregnant, your abdominal muscles go like this. They split up so that baby has room to move, to grow, to do everything baby needs to do to be that healthy baby, right? And then once baby evacuates your body, amen, the abdominal muscles are supposed to come back together. However, in 60% of women, those abdominal muscles do not come back together, right? So when she noted that I had like, say like, I was like this. She was like, I'm going to write you a referral for physical therapy. I am so grateful she did that because I feel like another healthcare provider would be like, well, she's skinny, she's fine, go home, you're good, right? My midwife was like, no, you're going to get this physical therapy. And I was like, physical therapy? I said, hold up, midwife lady, why do I need physical therapy? Because as a registered nurse working in the hospital, out in all these different capacities in the healthcare system, I typically knew physical therapy as for people that have had a stroke or people that have had a hip replacement post-fall, right? Those kind of things. But postpartum, and this is another layer of that conversation, right? So this is what she said to me. I'll never forget it. She said the same way that somebody goes through a car accident, God forbid, it's a very traumatic experience. She's like, Leslie, you just went through a really traumatic experience because you had a C-section and your pelvic floor, even though, write this down, people, especially if you have had a C-section, even though you did not push the baby out of your vaginal canal, your pelvic floor is still weak because you've been holding that baby for 10 months. Just call it 10 months the baby has been in your belly and you have been carrying that, right? So your pelvic floor, no matter if you do vaginal or C-section birth, your pelvic floor is very weak. And so she's like, you need that rehab. When I tell you that was the best thing she ever could do in my life because I don't have incontinence. If I sneeze or cough, we tight down there. It's tight. It's tight. You hear me? Okay, so that's the first thing. If you do not take care of the diastasis recti and your pelvic floor, you're putting yourself at risk for that. And incontinence also can lead into things like vaginal prolapse. I have heard of vaginal prolapse before, and it is it's very unfortunate because I have questions. Because as that person's healthcare provider, especially postpartum, did they get the physical therapy that they deserved, right? Because that truly, when I tell you, it truly changed things for me. And just for context, what is vaginal prolapse? The innards of where the baby came out of, the vaginal canal, protrude out through the hole, like through where you pee, guys. So imagine, just going to leave it at that. And I've heard that happen to young women under 40. And so that's why I'm just like, I am screaming, get physical therapy done. So if you're like, girl, my baby now 4 or 5 or 6, have a conversation with your primary care provider and be like, hey, I've been hearing about this thing called pelvic floor therapy. Can you please write me a referral to see a physical therapist that specializes, because that's the thing. Not all physical therapists specialize in pelvic floor rehab. It is, as I feel like since I had my kids, it's becoming more popular online. I feel like more physical therapists are probably leaning into that. I hope they are. But ask for that referral, y'all. You might have to pay out of pocket. It depends on your insurance. I think I have insurance and had insurance at that time too. I forget how much it was, but your insurance might cover it depends on insurance. Let me not get into that, but definitely look into that, okay? The second thing is umbilical hernia. So umbilical hernia, if you don't take care of the diastasis recti, will look like I used to have an Audi. Okay, let's give that context. So an Audi is technically an umbilical hernia. I used to have an Audi, and what y'all don't get to know me is real personal today. So this when I was 8 years old, my mom, before we left New York, I will never get this because I was born in upstate New York and we moved down here when I was 8. She was like, I'm going to use up this good Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. And she was like, she wanted me to get this done. She's like, I want you to be able to wear a 2-piece. Listen, that was the time it is, okay? Please wear your bathing suit no matter what. But that's just what my mom was like for me. And I said, whatever. I was 8. So I got that surgery done to get my umbilical hernia to come into as an innie. The reason that the umbilical hernia can be a concern is for protrusion of your organs. So some people's outies is like a big thing, a big hernia. And that is just not good for you safety-wise, because you have to think of it. I also want to say this, everybody has muscle. Everybody has muscle. It's just that some people may look more muscular than others, but everybody has abdominal muscle. And it's just a matter of how you strengthen that abdominal muscle to protect the organs that live behind the abdominal muscle. The organs that live behind your abdominal muscle are your stomach. So that's digestion. Your liver, right? This metabolizes things. Your pancreas also helps with metabolizing, specifically your blood sugar. Those are 3. There's other organs that live behind this area. But if your abdominal muscles are not strong, you're putting yourself more at risk for those muscles being damaged. You have to think of it. The muscles are like a coat, right? It's for protection. You put on a coat when you get cold. That's the same way these muscles, they protect everything that God put back there that you need. So I am not here in no way. I really want to be so clear. I am here for your educating you on the importance of the safety of strength training. That's really what it is, right? Strength training. That's all really what this all encompasses, right? The third thing, talking about strength training, the importance of strength training, especially postpartum. Once you get cleared at your 6-week appointment, please go to your 6-week appointment. I used to work case management, and like, you will be surprised amount of women that will miss their 6-week appointment because of, unfortunately, transportation, all these SDOH, I'm slipping, but determinants of health, right? Sometimes it's not their fault, but sometimes they don't realize the importance. And so after you get cleared to, work out, so typically it's at that 6-week appointment. If everything is Gucci, the doctor will say, okay, you're good. You can have sex and do whatever and do workouts and drive. Like, that's for my mamas that if you had a C-section, right? So the third thing we're going to get into is that when we're talking about the risk factors of not treating your diastasis recti, lower back pain. So I have a lot of people, and I actually just made a yoga video. I will leave that down below, of how to stretch your lower back to help alleviate the low back pain. So many people have this because of our sedentary lifestyles. And also, right now I'm just focusing on new moms. But again, going back to, you were holding a baby for 10 months. Your pelvic floor can only hold for so long, especially if you're not doing any type of pelvic floor exercises, even prenatally. Your lower back, a lot of moms, you tend to have that, like, where you're like this, right? Because it just feels better, right? And then that's causing a lot of strain on your lower back, okay? So you have to make sure that you strengthen your lower back, because it is not normal to have low back pain. But if the muscles in your low back, first thing, and I'm going to say this, I might be biased because I am a certified yoga teacher, you need to stretch the low back muscles before we strengthen the low back muscles. Let me explain why. Wow, it's almost 20 minutes. See how long so any muscle, if you don't stretch it's going to shrink up. You're going to shrivel up. You're going to shrivel up, right? And if you don't use it, fill in the blank, you lose it, right? So if it's shrivel up like this, and you try to do a deadlift, or you try to do something that you see this person online that has never had a baby do, or they have trainer or somebody that's helping them, and you try doing, you got shrivel up muscle, you are going to injure yourself. So you need to check out my yoga class down below. You need to start stretching. So once you start stretching, it loosen up. And then it causes elasticity of that muscle. Once the muscle now is elastic, it just stretches out. Then you can lift up the weights, and that will decrease your chances of further back pain, because that's something else that can happen is because I'm in the health and wellness space, I will hear people that be like, I messed up my back. And I'd be like, did you stretch? No. And now they're like, man, ever since I turned 30, like I realized I got to stretch. And it's like, yeah, y'all, we got to stretch. No matter what age you are, you have to stretch, because I just want you to think it just shrivel up like this if you do not stretch. So those are the three the three risk factors of diastasis recti. And then I'll close with this, the 2 exercises that I do, and I will make a video separate about this. The 2 exercises that I did to snap back postpartum were the following. I did, oh my gosh, what is it called? I'm losing train of thought. I didn't know. Okay. The first one I did was bird dog. So I did bird dog exercise. And then the second one I did was bringing my belly button towards my spine. So breathe out, breathe in. And I that's what I did. And so you heard me say, as I'm talking to you all, I'm doing a core exercise. That is a core exercise that I do on the regular. Still to this day, I still do that. I still engage my core. So you notice those 2 exercises are not crunches, because crunches do not work for new moms. Because with diastasis recti, it's that deep core that is you need to repair, right? It's not, crunches mostly just get the upper muscle. It doesn't get the bottom. Oh, sorry, I hit you guys. It does not get this part. So doing bird dog and the belly button towards the spine, that will help get this lower part, the pooch part. Crunches, don't do crunches until you work on those 2 exercises. So make sure you like this video, comment down below what you thought was most insightful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.